afternoon, Special Agent. How are you?
Good.
Good. Now, you were just asked whether or not any threats or promises or any of that stuff was made to Mr. Chilpayev in your presence, and your answer to that question is no, right?
Correct.
But you cannot testify to any conversations that were had with Mr. Chilpayev outside of your presence, can you?
Not outside my presence.
All right. And in fact, on this day, which was July 30th, 2012, that was your first time meeting Mr. Chilpayev, was it not?
Yes, it was.
But that was not Mr. Chilpayev's first time meeting with members of the FBI, was it?
No.
All right. Now I want to go back a little bit and just talk, because you said something in the beginning. You said that Mr. Chilpayev was a cooperating witness. Is that what your testimony?
Yes, that is my understanding of his relationship at the time of the interview.
Okay. Now, there is a difference, is there not, between a cooperating witness and a confidential informant or confidential human source as far as the FBI is concerned, correct?
There's a lot of terms that are used, and they're used interchangeably. My understanding is that Mr. Chilpayev at one point in time had a confidential human source file that was open. That file was closed at some point. However, he continued to provide information and cooperate with the FBI. So he was a witness who continued to cooperate.
Okay, well, we're going to come back to that in a second, but Jim Comey is now the director of the FBI, is he not?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever met Mr. Comey?
No.
Okay. But Mr. Comey was formerly the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York, wasn't he?
I believe so.
Okay. And he was my boss once, that's why I'm asking.
Okay.
And you have probably gleaned from working in Jim Comey's FBI that he is an ethical, by-the-book, honorable, super law-abiding guy, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And he believes, does he not, that federal agents are to be held to the highest ethical and moral standards?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And in this regard, the FBI, along with the DOJ, have created regulations, have they not, dealing specifically with how agents are supposed to deal with confidential informants, have they not?
With confidential human sources.
And confidential informant is the same thing as a confidential human source, just a different name.
It can be used interchangeably. In the FBI, we actually have sources, some of which provide testimonial evidence, others of which we decline to provide testimonial evidence.
Okay. And in those regulations, a confidential human source is defined, and you're familiar with these regulations, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Confidential human source is defined as any individual who is believed to be providing useful and credible information to the FBI for any authorized information collection activity, and from whom the FBI expects or intends to obtain additional useful and credible information in the future, and whose identity, information, or relationship with the FBI warrants confidential handling. Does that sound like an accurate definition?
Sounds accurate.
Right. And in this definition, you didn't hear any reference to this notion of someone being registered versus someone being not registered.
Correct.
Okay. And in fact, Special Agent Szabo, confidential informants or confidential human sources have been used by the FBI for decades, have they not?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And it has been an imperative of the FBI since the days of J. Edgar Hoover to develop, quote, particularly qualified live sources within the upper echelons of the organized hoodlum element who will be capable of furnishing the quality information needed to attack organized crime. Have you heard that said before?
No, ma'am.
Are you aware of a special report that was done by the Office of the Inspector General in 2005 regarding the FBI's handling of confidential informants? Are you aware of that report?
Not specifically.
Okay. But in that report, it is quoted as saying that informants have become integral to the success of many FBI investigations of organized crime, public corruption, the drug trade, counterterrorism and other initiatives, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you would agree that confidential informants are extremely valuable law enforcement tools that are used by the FBI, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And to be a confidential informant or a confidential human source or whatever you want to call it is not a dirty word, is it?
No, ma'am.